Okay, everyone, it says we're live. So if anybody is in the room, please let me know, or in the live stream, I should say. Leave a comment in the chat if you can see me and if you can see my screen. It says on my end that the connection is excellent, so just waiting to see if you guys are able to join in. Okay, I see we have at least one person in here. Welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, type in that you can hear me fine, that you can see the video fine, that the stream is good quality. You can type yes to all the above. I'm flipping back and forth between different things here. So if you can hear me, okay, all is well, very good. We'll see if some other folks are going to join before I start bringing up a screen share. Now, you guys are on a little bit of a delay. That's the only thing that takes some getting used to for me. Is currently it's about probably a 5 to 7 second delay, but I'll get used to that. So, all right, it says we have 2 viewers right now. So if you've just joined the room, type something in the chat to let me know that you're here. You can hear, just like 2 brown dogs did. And then I'll start sharing my screen here in a minute, meaning the charts. In fact, I'll do it, and then 2 brown dogs, you can tell me if you see it. So there's my chart. That's the chart of ES. Obviously, we're getting ready to go live again with the overnight session here in about 30 seconds or so. So you can let me know if you see that. Awesome. So both of you that are in here can see and hear, which is excellent. And when I switched over to my chart, could you guys see my chart? Just say like yes, could see the chart, or yes to the chart. It's back on me now, but I'll switch back over to the chart here in a second. Okay, well, let me bring it back up again. Can you see it now? See, the only thing that's difficult for me with live stream is when I'm on the chart, I can no longer see the chat box. You can see the chat box, and you can also see me, but I cannot see the chat box when I'm on the chart. So that's why I have to keep flipping back and forth. Okay, and that's exactly why we're doing this. We're trying to figure out why you can't see it. Okay, give me a second. Now can you see it? I might have had the wrong setting on. Now can you see the chart? If the chart pops up for you, just let me know. Okay, awesome. Yes, there is a delay, and that's last night we got it down to about 3 to 4 seconds. That was as short as we could get it. Grayson told me on most of these live streams, they can be anywhere from about 3 seconds all the way up to 10 or 11 seconds. When we first started trying last night, the delay was about 10 to 11 seconds. So we're going to keep working on that. I'm trying to make sure that everybody can see the chart. You can see what I'm looking at, because when we start doing this for real on LiveTube, where on YouTube, where I invite everybody in, we want them to be able to see exactly what I'm looking at. So the market just opened. You can see we gapped up. Currently, we're testing the 3083.50 level. Price is at 3082.25. We've never broken through the supply zone here, so we're still in it. In fact, I'll drag it across so it's a little bit further across here. Give me a second. You guys should be able to see everything that I'm doing. Okay, and then I'll adjust the properties to make it correct. Perfect. Okay. So that's the supply zone. Now if we break out of the top side of that and hold it, we may break and retest, or it's possible we could break and then come back through. But if we break and hold it and then get up over 3105, that's when things start to get interesting. Right here is the next level outside of the supply zone. So if we break that level and hold it, then we start bringing in some more upside movement. In fact, I'll switch over real quick to a 4-hour chart, give you a little bit better view. Okay, so there's the 4-hour view. So last Thursday and Friday, when I kept saying that until we get back up over 3105, we were still in this downtrend. But see, now we have broken the trend line. We're above the 20. This is on the 4-hour. We not only broke it, we came back and tested it and went back up. And right now, we're in this this is where, when I keep saying it's a 4-hour supply zone, right there is where the supply comes from. This long candle down. So when you're drawing your supply zone, you take it from the bottom of the body to the top of the wick, then drag it across. And we're right in the middle of that. This is the first test. So in theory, normally, the very first time you test, you'll reject off fairly strong. But we're not in normal times right now, are we? We're in very, very high volatility. So we're going to see what happens. But here's where we came from. Here's the all-time high, okay, a little over a week ago, all the way down. And remember, this first move everybody thought was a big move. Then this move they thought was a big move. Then this move was even bigger. And then we had a big move here, and then ultimately this great big drop here, We came all the way down to the low, and now we've been working our way back up. So we're right into the supply zone. All right, awesome. Nice, nice, good. Everything should be showing. I'm occasionally flipping back and forth just so I can see the chat, but it's good. You should be able to see the chart. You should be able to see me down in the corner. So I'm going to go back to the chart for a minute. Looks like we're starting to get a few more viewers here. Those of you who are joining, I was just giving the bigger picture of where we're at on ES right now. So this is the 4-hour chart. This is the 4-hour chart. Oh, and by the way, if you guys want to get a laugh, down here, this is that modified RSI that guy told me that he uses to scalp Forex on. This is what I've been talking about in the live audio. I just leave it up there to show you how many times it's wrong. So look at this move all the way down, right? And only one time did we get a sell signal. This is according to how he has it set up. Buy signal, buy signal, buy signal, buy signal, buy signal. Look at this. We got a buy signal right before this huge drop. So that's why I was saying I don't believe in indicators. I don't like them, even these modified ones. So let me, I'm going to take this off of the screen. Let me find it here. And of course, there we go. Take the study off. Apply. Okay, and it's gone. Okay. So anyway, that's those of you who've been in live audio, that's what I was talking about. I've had it up on the bottom there just to kind of laugh at it as this whole drop's been happening. So as I told you guys on live audio, RSI is based on overbought and oversold. And when we're in this huge drop like this, we're almost constantly in an oversold condition. So there's no way that the indicator can be valid because it's just going to keep telling you to buy, right? Because you're constantly in an extreme oversold condition and it's just going to keep telling you buy. And if you keep buying every time it told you, you'd obviously be broke by now. Okay, so once again, those of you who just joined us, this was the trend line, this red line. We finally broke back above it today, came back, retested, and now we're in this 4-hour supply zone, which we've never got all the way out. And first of all, for it to be broken, you have to get out, hold it, and then you might even come back and retest it and then go higher. Right now, we're right here in the middle. We're right in the middle. It came up pretty close to getting out of the top, but still that wouldn't, you have to have a candle close above it for it to be broken. So we'll see what's gonna transpire. I'll go back to the 30-minute chart here so everybody can get a little bit better, closer view. In fact, I'll just show you action from mostly today. All right, so this was regular trading hours opening price level, so we'll remove that. Now we're going to come over here and where are we at? Right here, and opening price level was 3077. So I will put that in. Give me a second. So if you guys want to know how I do it, you're watching me do it. So this is the overnight session opening price level right there. I'll extend it to the right and then I'll take it off later. So I can obviously scrunch my screen up a little bit. So hopefully everybody's able to see. Hey, Grayson. Grayson, the delay is a little bit longer tonight than you and I got it to late last night, but it looks like everybody can see everything. And everybody can hear me. There's just about a 5 to 7 second delay. But I'm just going back and forth so I can check the chat every now and again. And then back to my screen. And we won't stay on here a real long time tonight, guys. I just wanted to make sure that the live stream was working. Everybody can see my screen. You can hear me, even if it is a delay. You can still hear me. You can see exactly what I'm looking at. Here's a couple other things. So I always tell you that I always have the advancers up on my screen. It's right here. So I just have a little widget open. You see this? And all I have to do, $ADVNC, and I leave that up all day long. So I always know where the advancers are. Then I have a list here. This is a watch list. There's probably about 25 or so names on there that include my basket. And then I have names that I add and delete from here every now and again. Like I added USO recently. Let me see, I'll tell you the ones. I added the Rut recently, although they're not in my basket. I added the Qs. Okay, Pepsi's not in my basket, but it's on the list. I think this is Norfolk Grumman, or Northrop Grumman, I believe is who this is. NOC, their defense name. I added JNUG. Look at JNUG. It was up $7 and something today. That's a gold ETF. IWM is the small cap ITF. Okay, so all those names I'm pointing out now are not in my basket. I'll point out the ones that are. Gold, GDX. GDX is the Gold Miners Fund. So I'll go down through. So the ones that are in my basket are Apple, Amazon, Boeing, Baba, Baidu. Okay, Beyond, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, Nvidia, Roku, Shop, Tesla, Twitter, and Walmart. And then, of course, ES. That's my basket. It's those 15 names plus ES. This is oil up here. These are the oil futures. I don't consider them a part of my basket, but I do trade them every now and again. So here I'll just go over to the oil futures just so you can see. I know there are several people in our room that trade the oil futures. Okay, so that's the 30-minute chart of oil. Let's look here. Okay, that would have been the start of today. So that's what oil did today. Went up, dropped. You see how it's it can get crazy. All right, so those are oil futures. Let me go back to ES. I'll zoom in a little bit tighter on ES. So you can see so far we're not making any headway getting out of this supply zone. Sounds good, Grayson. I just read your message. Yeah, so what he's referring to, guys, is I'm doing this on a MacBook Pro laptop, and for live streaming, obviously the processing unit in a laptop is not going to be as powerful as a desktop computer. So, you know, a lot of people who do live streaming, they either build a computer, and I may eventually have to have my son. My 14-year-old son, he's a gamer like a lot of kids his age. He built his own desktop computer 2 years ago, and it's lightning fast. and he built it for, I don't want to say next to nothing, but compared to what he would have had to have paid for a name brand, he built it for dirt cheap. He just 2 years ago for Christmas, so he was 12 at the time. He was like, "Dad, can you just I'll give you a list of parts I need you to buy me, and I'll build my own computer." And he did, and he's been using it for 2 years. So he understands all this stuff that Grayson talks about, sometimes better than I do. Okay, so right here's price. Right now we're in a doji. Okay, we've got 14 minutes to go on this candle. This is the opening price level, the purple dashed line. This pink box is a 4-hour supply zone, and as you can see, we've never broken all the way through it. So that those of you who just joined us, we've never broken all the way through it, and then we would have to break and hold. So I'll scrunch up the screen. For this zone to be considered broken, a candle would have to break through, close, and then we'd have to hold. So we might come back and retest, go higher, or we could get a candle close above, and then the next candle goes right back through it. So in that case, you would say, no, it still hasn't been broken. But that is, whenever you see a pink box on my charts, that's a supply zone. If you see a green box, that's a demand zone. They'll be, down here. So like right here, this is technically a 30-minute demand zone. From the top of this red candle to the bottom of this wick, extended this way. Now a 30-minute demand zone is not going to be as strong as a 4-hour. And same thing, a 15 minutes not as strong as a 30. A 30 is not as strong as an hour is not as strong as 4 hours, so on and so forth. Okay. We'll take a look at what Tesla did today while everybody's on here. Okay, so here's where Tesla opened up. You heard me talk about Tesla this morning. So here's where it ended on Friday. You've seen the big gap up, actually right here. This is where it opened. And where did they open it? When I talk about location in live audio, they opened it right underneath a resistance level. So what did it do? It went up, it hit it, boom, sold off. Okay, so this candle, it was up as high as 724. Then it came down as low as 686.67. So you see that? That's why I always say, even though something's gapping up in the morning or gapping down, where are they gapping it to? Now, if they gapped it like right in here somewhere, you got a lot of room to run, right? I'll show you Walmart here in a second to give you the other side of this. But anyway, it went up to 724, boom, sells back off. Then the rest of the day, it made some strength back to the upside, came back down, tested the support level, which was resistance, and then ended higher. Now, let's look at something else. Okay, so here is Walmart. Here's Walmart. They opened it up sort of in the middle between support and resistance. And you see the difference? Boom, up. Now look at this. Here's a break, retest, go. That's a perfect example. Break, retest, go. And then look what it did. Right on up. Okay, then later in the day, this right here is basically nothing more than profit taking. Because look at this. You get a move like this. At some point, people want to take some profit. Okay, so that's what this is. They're taking profit. They come down here to this support zone. We pick up some more buyers, and look how they ended the day. Another strong push. So hopefully everybody can see the difference between those two things. Okay, we'll come back over here to ES. Look at that, still just hanging out right there at opening price. Okay, up to 7 viewers now. Okay, so supply supply and demand, when you hear traders talk about supply and demand, what that is whenever you have a strong move leaving a level, or a strong, and it can be up or down. So let me come back over here. In fact, let me go back to the 4 hour because it's so much easier for you to see. Okay, you see this candle right here, this long, wide-ranging candle. When you see a candle like this right here, and then up here, the reason I have it up here as well is not only was it strong for the time, you got to remember, guys, these candles here, these are not normal. Okay, this whole week was a market correction. These are not normal size candles. These candles were considered big candles early in the week, right? Everybody was like, oh man, look at this huge sell-off. Well, then look at this down here. Okay, so when you create supply or demand, when you see this long, wide-ranging candle here or here, that is showing you that there are aggressive sellers at a certain price point. They find that that is a value to them. They think that price is cheap right there, and they overwhelm the buyers and they drive price down. Okay, so what you do is you draw a zone there, and the next time that price comes back in normal circumstances, now we're not in normal circumstances right now, but in normal circumstances, the first time price comes back, you're going to get a big bounce out of there because there's still going to be more sellers waiting to be aggressive. Vice versa if it's demand. So if this was a big green candle, you'd look over here and you draw a demand zone this direction. And then the next time that price came back and touched it, it would most likely bounce off in a strong way as it picked up more aggressive buyers. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to those of you who don't know what supply and demand is. And we'll talk more about that in the room, especially in the premium room as it launches here in the next day or so. But supply and demand is, it's the backbone of trading in general because it shows an imbalance. And what we mean by an imbalance is the imbalance of aggressive buyers or sellers. So if it's supply, there's more aggressive sellers. If it's demand, there's more aggressive buyers. It's not that there's more of them, as we've talked about in live audio. You always have one for one, right? For there to be a transaction, you have to have a buyer and a seller. So you'll frequently hear a lot of people say, oh, there was more buyers than sellers in that area, or there were more sellers than buyers. That's not technically true. They were more aggressive, and then they overwhelmed their counterparts. Okay, so on the 4 hour here, you can see we're sort of red on this new candle. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if we did kind of sell out of here down to one of these support levels, maybe even back to the trend line. But we'll see. I mean, because obviously all these big green candles, that showed a lot of strength today, a lot. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm trying to check back every now and again just so I can see if anybody has any new questions. Okay, I'll go back over to the 30-minute. And for anybody who doesn't know, and there you go, there's the candle. It's just going slightly red right now. For any of those that don't know, I typically view the 30-minute chart. I have it up on my screen most of the day, and it's what I trade off of the majority of the time is the 30-minute because I feel it gives me the best of both worlds. But you can trade off of any chart you want. If you're somebody that likes the 15 or the 10 or the 5 or, whatever, Or, you know, some people who are swing traders, they like to trade off of the daily or the 4 hour, or, you know, maybe down to the 1 hour. A lot of swing traders prefer the 4 hour. I like the 4 hour for Forex. So while we're here, we can just look at some Forex stuff. Let's bring up Euro USD. Okay, so here's the 30-minute of Euro USD, but typically I trade the 4 hour. Look at this. Look at that move. Look at that move. So this is a trend line down here. All right, if I scrunch in my screen, you can see it. All right, look at that. So that was a trend line, and we could never quite break through and hold. Right, we wrote it down, we were kind of getting below, but this is why you've got to be careful when I say break and hold, because once it reclaimed this trend line and reclaimed the 20 on the 4 hour, bam, look at that. Look at that. In fact, I'll tell you what kind of a move that was. Give me 1 second. So it went all the way up to 1.1184. And it started, let's just say right about there, 10780. Okay. It's a pretty big move, right? 404 pips. $404 pips. That's a big move. And that happened, let me look here. 3, 2. From February 21st to today, 400 pips. That's pretty good. Now, obviously, you could scalp it along the way. So if I go back to the 30-minute, and that one guy who gave me that modified RSI thing, that's what he does for a living, is he scalps Forex. So he uses that. I believe he trades off of either a 5 or a 15-minute chart, and he uses that modified RSI, and whenever it gives him a sell signal, he sells, and whenever it gives him a buy signal, he buys, and he just scalps. Okay, but back on the 30-minute, you can see once it, right here, look at this, gets above the 20, goes up, comes back, goes up, comes back to the 20, leaves the 20 again. Okay, gets kind of far away from the 20, comes back, it's trying to reclaim it again. And as you go through here, look how these levels are respected. Look at this. All the way through. I haven't changed these levels on Euro USD in probably 3 weeks. And look how valid they still are. If I traded it like every day, I would update them every 2 to 3 days. But with all this crazy action that we've had on the market here in the past week and a half, I've been concentrating more on it because I want to be there for you guys. So, you know, I know there's more people in the room that trade the market and stocks than trade Forex. But we do have more people in the room that are interested in Forex, and we do have several Forex traders. I trade Forex. I had some really nice trades on Forex last week. I had one for 46 pips. I had one for 28 pips. I had one for 24 pips. I think those were the only 3 that I had last week. And today I did not take any Forex. 2 big brown dogs. These sessions are going to be really helpful. Good, good, good. Oh, Todd Father. That's right. I forgot that that's your name in other places. I forgot about that. Gotcha. Awesome. Let me go back to the charts here. Okay, so we just closed our first 30-minute candle, and it was a red spinning top. What is a red spinning top? It's indecision, right? Sort of like a doji. It means that, without being combined with anything else, the candle by itself is a candle of indecision. And why do we say that? Because we had movement both directions, but we ended up somewhere near the middle. Now, if it's red, you ended up slightly lower. If it's green, you ended up slightly higher, but it's still a candle of indecision. Now, so far, this next candle is starting out red, below opening price level, but also we have a support level right here. So it's kind of trapped in between there right now. It either needs to reclaim up above here, or it needs to break down below here and keep going lower. These are moving averages for anybody who doesn't know. If you're new, this is the 20 simple moving average. The green line is the 200 simple moving average. Now the 20 obviously moves much faster. It calculates the average price over the last 20 candles. So whatever chart you're on, it's the last 20 candles. This is calculating the last 200 candles. So from the last 200 candles, we're still in a downtrend. Price trending down, that's the average. In the 20, we're started back up, right? So we're converging again. Those of you who've been in the room for a while, or you've been on live audio, you know what happens when the two moving averages converge. Typically, it's a gaining of energy, and you're going to have a bigger move one direction or the other. Now, you can't anticipate for sure which way it's going to go, and you also can't anticipate when it's going to happen. So these two moving averages, they might get close to each other, and then you get this huge drop, or vice versa. Or they might get close to each other and kind of run side by side for quite a while, building up energy, and price will just chop along as well, a consolidation period, and then you'll get a big move one way or the other. So just know that when they come together, it typically signifies a gaining of strength for a larger move, but you just don't know when it's going to come. You just need to be ready for it. Then if you start to see things setting up and you start to get a trigger one way or the other, I'm just going to make something up. Let's just say price just chops along right in through here. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And at the same time, these two moving averages are coming together and they're running kind of congruent with each other. Well, then what you'd want to do, what I would do, and you've seen me do it in the room, is I would draw a gray box around that, and I would wait for price to break out to the upside or break out to the downside, and then I would be looking for a trigger to get involved in the trade. That's how you find high percentage, high probability trades. You don't want to be trading this, right? If this is just chopping along in here, you don't want any part of that, especially in this, high volatility environment. Premiums will kill you if you're an options trader like I am. I'm an options trader. You'll get crushed. So what you would do then, again, I'm just giving you a hypothetical. If price just started to range and chop in there, I'd draw a gray box around it. And then I would wait. I would wait for price to break out either to the downside or the upside. And that's where I would possibly look at taking a trade. Okay, just checking back. Still got 6 folks in here. Let me see if there was something else I wanted to look at. Give me a second here. We already looked at Microsoft. I'm going to tell you right now, some people made money in Microsoft today. I wish I would have, I was paying more attention to the market, because I do trade Microsoft every now and again, because you can typically you can get fairly cheap options on Microsoft, and it only takes, like, if you get a couple dollar move on Microsoft, you can make a lot of money. it had a $10 move today. So that's why I say people made money on Microsoft today. If somebody knew and had it identified and was ready and got in early and caught, most of that move, they made a lot of money. Regeneron, let's take a look at that. So those of you who are in the room and on live audio a lot, you know that this is one of my new favorites. So here's Regeneron. Look at this move. That's pretty strong. Opened at 445 and it closed at 464. So almost a $20 move throughout the day without a big gap up either. It basically opened flat compared to Friday, which that's actually better, right? You open flat and then price kind of shoots up. That gives you a better indication that it's a valid move. So Regeneron is one that I've considered putting in my basket of names, but I would take something out if I put it in. But that's a pretty good move there. If I would have traded it, I probably would have just, when it started pulling back here, I just would have exited, and that probably would have been it for the rest of the day. High volatility environment, it's really hard to hold something all day long. It's really hard. It's like Shop. Let's see what Shop did here. All right, Shop. Here's where it opened, way up here, sold off, regained some strength, chopped along, came back down, and then ended strong. That might have been difficult to trade unless you tried to short it here and then just kind of that was your trade on Shop. This kind of action in a volatile market can be really scary. Look at that. Big move down, big move up, then chop, 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 drops it down, and then at the end of the day, explodes back up. That's pretty tough to trade. One thing I will always do is shoot you guys straight. There's a lot of people that would be like, oh, did you catch that move on Regeneron today? Blah, blah, blah. Anybody who caught that entire move, I don't believe it. Let me put it that way. I don't believe it. You have to add in trading psychology. When I see people, and look at this, we're starting to get some downside movement here on ES. We're starting to get some downside movement. Okay. If we get out of here, down here, then we really could look at a drop. At least here, maybe down to the 200. We got to get out of here first. Okay, and then we're going to have some 30-minute demand down here. It would start at 3013. 3013 right there, right across here. So I told you I would not be surprised to see it sell out of here. Okay. No. Okay, so that's a good question, Todd Father. Let me show you. He's asking if gray boxes on my chart are supply and demand. They are not. So let me show you. What I typically use gray boxes for are areas of congestion, like where we're ranging. See this? Or structure. This just happens to be both. So I was trying to show you guys the other day, remember that structure had these flat levels to it. So what I mean by structure, we dropped, and typically as you form structure, you'll come down, then you'll angle back up like this, then you'll come down, then you'll angle back up like it did right here. See, this is more normal right here. Down, back up, down, back. But when we came down, we had all those flat levels. Let me go to the 4-hour because it's much cleaner. I showed everybody in the room this last week. Okay, So look at this. From here, we came down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, down, flat, down, and then we had what I showed you on the 30-minute is like literally this one candle, but it was all flat. Then we went down again. So we weren't getting the big back up like this and then down. So when you see gray boxes, for me, let me go back to the 30-minute. It'll show it to you more clearly. Okay, it's really, I extended this over because it was a level of structure, and look at how many times it was respected. Came down, respected, came down, respected, came down, respected big time, came back up, respected, and then finally broke through here, but then the very next day it gapped down. Okay, so that's what gray boxes are on my chart. They're typically ranges, areas of consolidation, or if I'm trying to point out, like here I was trying to point out a structure level. So when you hear me talking about structure and, you know, hey, like back here when this price action was occurring, I was telling you guys in the room, okay, the first thing we got to do is you got to break through structure level. And somebody asked me, well, what are you talking about? That's why I drew this gray box, and then look what happened. We came up to it and it was respected. Came up to it, respected, up to it, respected, up to it, respected, and then finally broke through. What is that? 4 or 5 times before we finally were able to break through it. Let me bring this down a little bit. Okay, so we're still red here. Not a huge move, obviously. We opened up at 77 and we're at 68, 7, you know, so we're only down $8-9, but we are moving down. We are moving down. Just checking back to see if anybody had any other questions. We'll get off here in just a couple of minutes. Like I said, I wanted to, I'm basically testing out the software here to make sure everything was working correctly before I do it for everybody in the world who might want to join. Probably sometime tomorrow, maybe in the middle of the day or something. I don't know what time yet. I'll do a YouTube live stream where I'll open it up to the public. We'll put in key terms, so if anybody's searching for that kind of stuff, they can find you. Grayson found a guy last night, and probably one of the most unprofessional people you ever seen, but he had 16,000 people on his live stream. It was a recording, but he had 16,000 people on his live stream. And he was coughing and burping and burp, burp, hacking, and he kept talking about that he had the, what did he say, Grayson? He had the woo hand. He says, I might have the woo hand. Talking about, you know, having the flu. Okay, so far we're holding right here at the 30.71. So we dipped down below it, but right now we're holding. We still got about 15 minutes to go on this candle. Is there anything anybody who's in here wants me to look at before we end this live stream? Because I can look at anything you would want. All you have to do is type it in the chat box. I'll bring the chart up and look at it. If for some reason it's something that I don't look at very often, I'll show you how to draw the lines on it. Because that's the first thing I do. If I look at something that I either don't normally look at or it's something that I never look at, the first thing I do is go through my process of putting the support and resistance lines on there. It's the most important thing to me. So if there's anything somebody wants me to look at, you just let me know. This is the Tastyworks platform. I'm going to be trying this out. They cater to options and spread traders. So I can show you real quick. So let me go. Okay, this is ES. So the next expiration is right here. It tells you 3 days to expiration. This is when it'll be Wednesday's expiration. And it's really cool, the features they give you. See this ruler? This thing that looks like a ruler? This is showing you the expected move based on volatility. Here's your volatility over here. This ruler, this brown ruler, is showing you both up and down the expected move based on volatility. So if you're somebody that likes to play strangles or iron condors or something like that, these blue lines are standard deviation lines. So let's just say I was going to play an iron condor and I wanted to do it on 1 standard deviation. Actually, I take that back. This would be about where 1 standard deviation is, right here. Because you see how it says out of the money percentage, 84%, right? So that means that there's only a 16% chance that you would lose. So if you pick this, okay, I sell that one, I buy that one, and I come the other way, and I find the same percentage. Right here's 84%. I sell that one, I buy that one. You come down here, it's telling me the credit that I'll collect. $2.20 means 220 bucks. But this is an iron condor, so it's actually going to be a little bit less. But see, so what it's showing you is if I took this trade and price ends up anywhere in between here, which is 29.70 and 31.50 in the next 3 days, I would be risking 142 to win 108 because that's only 1 contract. So if I go up, right? So that's like 5 contracts. On 5 contracts, I would be risking 712 to win 538. Now, when I say risking, price has to finish outside of here. Now, if it finishes outside of there and you don't close your position, you're going to lose 700 and some dollars. Okay, but you can manage spreads just like you manage any other trade. So if it got too close, let's say price started dropping and it started getting down in this area down in here, you could close the trade out. You don't have to let it go all the way to where you're going to lose max profit. Vice versa, you don't have to wait and try to collect all 538. What a lot of people do is they wait until they get about 50%. Some people don't even wait that long. They'll wait till they get to about 50% of this and they just close the trade and they just move on. Okay, but the great thing about spreads is I know if I took this trade, I'd have an 85% chance of winning. And that's with no management whatsoever. That's if I didn't manage the trade, I have an 85% chance of winning the trade. With management, it's probably more like 92 to 94%. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at that. Now you can still trade equities. You can still trade equities. You can trade options. Now these are futures, so that would be contracts. But if during the day, see, Apple, Amazon, any of the, you can trade just shares of stock too. You can do that. You can do equities, futures, options, and spreads. The only thing they don't do is Forex. But it's a pretty neat platform. Oh, let me show you this. This is called, let me see, yeah. This is called the Curve. This is an analysis feature. Isn't that cool? So it's showing you that you need price to end up in here. See this orange area? And this is where current price is. So in the next 3 days, as long as price would end up anywhere in this area, you would win max profit. You'd win 538 bucks. It doesn't matter if it goes down or goes up or stays the same. If it ends up anywhere in that orange box, if I would place the trade, you'd win 538 bucks. Okay? But if you go outside of here, there's a break-even point. You do have a little area of a break-even point, but if it goes outside of here, outside of your call here and your put here, outside of here and outside of here, then you're going to lose the whole amount unless you manage the trade. So if you'd let it go all the way to expiration, you'd lose 750 if it closed outside of here or outside of there. But if it finishes anywhere in here, max profit. Okay, back to ES, showing a little bit of a bounce off of the 3071 area. I don't see anyone posting anything they wanted me to look at. That's kind of why I was showing you the TSTL platform. I'm going to start using it more and more. I've been really upset with TD Ameritrade, as many of you guys know, especially the ones that follow me on Twitter. It's been severely lagging, poor trade fills. The system will just freeze up sometimes for like seconds at a time. Like literally, and nothing else on my computer freezes up. I know it's not my computer because I can go to anywhere else and everything's working fine. But TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim will just like freeze. And the other day, it almost freaked me out because I was in a short the other day, and it froze, and price was dropping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if it reverses, I'm not going to make any money. But it unfroze in time for me to exit the trade and make money. If it would have reversed and went the other way, I would have been ticked. And that's happened in the past. And every time I've called them on it, nothing. They're always like, well, that's not something we can replicate on our end. So unless we can see it. And then one time, one of the guys told me, they're like, oh, that's the first we've heard of anything like that. Nobody's complaining about that. I copied and pasted where several of the people in the room were having the same exact issues, and I sent it to them. I'll have to forward this on to customer service. But I've just kind of had enough, but I'm not going to switch completely over to something else until I decide that I'm comfortable and so on and so forth. But yeah, they got a lot of cool features over here on TSTL. Okay, this part of it collapses in and out. So whatever symbol you have here will automatically show up over here. If I was in a position, it would show you all the details down here. Okay, you can look at working, filled, canceled, other orders that you would have taken on this. You can collapse that. You can come down here, okay, and it gives you all this. Go to the chart. That's the only thing I don't like about it. Their charting features are not the greatest, which is totally, totally shocking because these are the same exact people who built Thinkorswim. So they built Thinkorswim years ago and they sold it to TD Ameritrade for $750 million. And now they've developed Tastyworks. And the charting features on Tastyworks are very limited because they built this platform based on the way that they trade. So let me come back up here. Hang on a second, guys. So they built this based on the way that they trade. They are options and spread traders primarily. So what you'll find is this platform caters to that. Again, you can trade equities. You can just trade shares if you want. No problem. Okay, absolutely no problem. They have an active trader tab right here. Theirs is set up a little bit differently. I've talked to a couple of people in the room who use TastyTrade and they like the way it's set up. You can do the table or you can do the curve. And you can place or take off trades anywhere. anywhere you want. You can set up your own watch lists. They also have a whole bunch of watch lists in here, presets. See all these? These are all ones that are already loaded in there. Liquid ETFs. Now you might say, well, why would they have that in there? Because that is, liquid ETFs are an instrument that a lot of spread traders use. Okay, I'll click on it just to show you. So these are all ETFs. These are all ETFs that when they say liquid, means it'd be very easy for you to get in and out of if you were either trading it straight up or if you were trading spreads, credit spreads, debit spreads, iron condors, iron butterflies, straddles, strangles, any of that. Put credit spreads, debit spreads. Okay, but I'll go back. I have my own list here. These are my 25 or 30 stocks, including my basket. But it's pretty cool. So I'm going to try it out. I'll let everybody in the room know how I like it as I go forward. I like this IV rank. It's different than IV percentage. And if I click here, those are the lowest, those are the highest. So what this means is that Tilray, which is a weed stock, JNUG, which is obviously a gold ETF, they're trading at over 100% what their 52-week IV percentage normally is. So if you averaged out for 52 weeks their IV percentage, they're trading at over 100% of that right now. So that means they're volatile. They're volatile right now. Okay? That's oil. Oil's at 81%. Netflix, 76%. That's Target. Obviously, why is Target up? They have earnings. So Target is at 74. There's gold at 73. Regeneron at 71. Anything over 50 is considered high. But that's what IV rank is. It's the percentage that they're over their 52-week average. If you just come back over here and click on that, it puts them right back in alphabetical order. Okay, Todd Father, have a good one. Everybody, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for joining. It obviously worked well, and we'll be doing these at least a couple times a week. So everybody have a great evening. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.